Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? What up, Miles? What up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? How's it going, brother? It's going great. How's it going for you, Pablo? Hi, Miles. Let's jump to Trump. New, lol. Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about the Bitcoin conference. Major things have been announced from Trump, from Senator Luminous, from many people at the Bitcoin conference. Nice to see you, my awesome brother. Let's go. How you doing, Gory Clothing? Don, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? Hi, Miles of CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? Semper Evening, good to see you as well. How you doing? Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Troy, I'll send you the rest of the step-by-steps as well on transferring assets to your tangent from your exchanges. I saw your message. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Troy? How you been? Only here for a few. Got to go to Quincera. Ah, okay. Semper, good to see you all either way. How you doing? Okay. We'll do a gist of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show, and then we'll do the disclaimer and intro as usual. And by that time, everyone's tuned in for the first spot. What else? Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Troy, thank you. No problem. How's it going? It's going good, Woodhouse. How's it going for you? How you been? So, on tonight's live show, we are going to be going through the Donald Trump speech. We're going to go through the points he made and how it's going to impact the industry in general. So massive news just came out regarding the Bitcoin conference. A lot of things were announced by Trump, by Senator Luminous, by BlackRock founders and so on. So a lot of executives, CEOs, directors, and government people made quite important speeches of what's going to be happening inside the crypto space if they're elected for their positions. So we're going to talk about that on that particular matter. And we're also going to talk about, apparently, Kamala Harris has been doing some interviews as well with Ripple, Circle, Coinbase, and quite a lot of other big major crypto companies out there. So we're going to go through the two perspectives. We're going to go through Trump's perspective on what he will achieve if he's chosen and elected, which, Trump would be a better outcome, definitely. But we're also, two sides to every story. We'll listen to the Kamala Harris situation as well regarding her points of view on crypto assets. And we're also going to be talking about the US House Representative of calls for the new SEC chairman. Not only did Trump today announce that essentially on day one he will essentially get rid of Gary Gensler, but on the exact day today, basically, Trump announcing this major announcement, getting rid of Gary Gensler on day one, the House US representatives also sent a letter to get rid of Gary Gensler. On the same day Trump makes a speech of when I get elected, he is removed, is the exact same day the House US representatives sent a letter to basically, we need a new US SEC chairman, and Gary Gensler needs to be fired. And we're also going to be talking about the Ripple versus SEC case regarding Judge Torres's deliberates on rulings and the perspectives from essentially Ripple's CLO and Ripple's lawyers. And we're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding BlackRock, which is essentially their iBuild fund. So BlackRock has a tokenization fund, and they've had some inflows happening, and nobody knows where these inflows are coming, but interest is happening once again with BlackRock's tokenization fund. We're also going to be talking about US Senator Luminous, who also proposed that the United States should buy essentially 1 million Bitcoins to reduce their national debt. So Bitcoin could be used as a possible outcome for the US national debt. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding Wall Street. Wall Street has decided to essentially give their opinions on this matter as well regarding this whole Bitcoin conference that's happening. They said they're going to be opening up a Bitcoin financing lending business as well within Wall Street. And we're going to be talking about BRICS on tonight's live show as well, and how BRICS might be poised to dominate the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund and the International Monetary, according to Russian executive directors. And we're going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding Ethereum ETFs. Something that I said yesterday was on the news today. How interesting is that one? And so quite a lot of mixture of news, I would have to say, we're going to be going from tonight's live show, mainly regarding circulating around this whole Bitcoin conference and the people that give their speeches at the Bitcoin conference, but also House US representatives want to get rid of Gary Gensler at the exact same time Trump made the speech. So quite a lot of interesting topics to go through on tonight's live show. So welcome to the CMF live show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF live show. You can tune into this live show every single night on X Live or on YouTube Live at the exact same time, which is now. And I might talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, politics, AI, regulations, everything that you should know about going into a digital world. And I also do a live Q&A as well, which means if you're watching this on YouTube right now, on YouTube Live, or if you're watching this on X Live right now, you can get involved in the comment sections. And everybody that's also inside the comment sections right now are all CMF members and also some new members sometimes. And everything I do is completely free of source. We have a Telegram group as well for this live show, which is completely free. Anybody's more than welcome to join in. Absolutely amazing and respectful place to be in. So welcome to the CMF live show if you're watching this for the first time ever. And if you're a regular, let's go CMF. And a disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So welcome to CMF live show if you're new, and if you're regular, let's go CMF. The live show has officially started now. And the first news we're going to be going for tonight's live show is Donald Trump's speech at the Bitcoin conference, bullet points on his speech, and what the impact could be possibly on the blockchain space moving forward, essentially for the United States. And before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were. By the way, I read everybody's comments one by one and give responses because everybody's taking time out of their day to put a response down. So I want to be respectful to everyone. Free and Forever, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Stormy, hey Miles of CMF, good to see you as well. Stormy, how you doing? How you been? I'm good. Let's go Woodhouse. I managed to talk to my neighbor about crypto and CBDC, and he understands what I was talking about. I'm helping him sort his Trust wallet and showing him around XRP, and will also guide him to the CMF. Let's go Woodhouse. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? What they want to fire Gary? They want to fire Gary. They don't, so that'll be the crypto markets. Yeah, honestly, what they're doing to Gary Gensler, I mean, right now, Trump making this bold speech, he will get rid of Gary Gensler. And I do believe if Trump is elected, he will definitely remove Gary Gensler. Trump is a man that, says something and does it. Unlike other politicians that just tend to say things and nothing ever gets done. Trump is the only man that will say it and he will do it. How are you doing? I'm doing great. How are you doing, Sam? Good to see you as well. Evening, Miles and family. What a day. Hey, excellent news. Yes, definitely. Ian, good to see you as well. How you doing? Say it ain't so. This dang autocorrect. Evening and Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? Butterfly, good evening, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Anna, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hello, Miles and family. So the first news of tonight's live show is the Trump news. The massive speech he made, which was incredibly bullish for the entire crypto space. So, Donald Trump, these are the bullet points. Donald Trump supports Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The most significant event for the cryptocurrency world in July was Donald Trump's speech at the Bitcoin conference. The speech just began. Before diving into the details, it's worth noting that Bitcoin's price was around $68,486 before Donald Trump's speech. The price of Bitcoin was around $68,486. Just put in that perspective. And then we're going to see what the price point of Bitcoin is after his speech. Trump changes the stance on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Donald Trump previously referred to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as scams and criminal money, stating that they had no place in the system. However, much has changed since then. Influenced by the 2024 US elections, Trump realized the importance of approximately 52 million cryptocurrency owning voters inside the United States. Trump has now changed his theoretics, and he is now adapting essentially a pro-cryptocurrency stance. He recently declared his support for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, proclaimed himself as the president of the crypto space. All eyes are now on what Trump will say and promise. Now, these are the key points that essentially came out of Trump's speech. Some of the things that Trump said, absolutely amazing, honestly. Donald Trump used the following statements in his speech. Donald Trump thanked the people who supported him. Our country has brilliant minds in the Bitcoin and crypto space. I bow to you today. I believe Bitcoin will replace gold, he said. I support the Bitcoin community for America's future. We must embrace Bitcoin, otherwise our nations will fall behind. The Bitcoin and crypto community consists of smart people. I always respect smart people. We will meet the energy needs of Bitcoin and crypto community. America will be the superpower of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. America will lead Bitcoin, and I ask for your support. I received many Bitcoin and crypto donations, but the important thing is America's leadership in this field. Thanks to me, they leave you alone. Otherwise, you would be under much more pressure. He's referring to essentially all the pressure is on him rather than the crypto space. There's still a bit of pressure on crypto space, mainly because of Gary Gensler, but he also, essentially said something about that as well. But I get the point he's trying to make, that all the pressure is on him in terms of essentially politics. Bitcoin will go to the moon, is what he also said. The Bitcoin and crypto community has been slandered. They definitely have been, by Gary Gensler. We genuinely support the Bitcoin and crypto community. We are not pretending, he said. They are trying to eliminate Bitcoin because it symbolizes essentially freedom. When I come to the White House, I will end the games against the Bitcoin and crypto community. On the first day, this is the sentence that was the best sentence of his entire speech from my point of view. He made incredible, great points, but this one was one of the best ones for me. When he said, on the first day, I will fire SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. And then he got a massive applause. And then he realized, wow, everybody does really hate Gary Gensler. So he repeated it and he said, on the first day, again, I'm saying this, I will fire SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. I don't know, Gary, he said, I didn't know Gary Gensler was so disliked. Let me say it again. On the first day in office, I will fire SEC Chairman Gary Gensler. As president, I will end operations against the crypto community. I will establish a cryptocurrency council and you will write the rules. These who hate you will not write the rules. There will be no CBDC when I'm president. We will be your fuel. We will create stable coins. Bitcoin does not threaten the dollar. The current US administration actions are the threat. We will not allow these who threaten our financial freedom. Trump spoke at the Bitcoin conference, essentially making a significant event for the cryptocurrency space. He changed his stance, now supporting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Trump promised us to support the crypto community and lead America in this field. I mean, everything that he said is just absolutely amazing, honestly. Let me just point out one thing. Regarding the Gary Gensler situation, great. Getting rid of Gary Gensler should have happened a very long time ago. But it's good to see that on his day one, he will be getting rid of him. And knowing Trump, if he says something, he will do it. Other politicians, they will tell you a million things they will do once they get elected, and none of those things will come true. Trump is the only man that will say, I will do this, and you know for a fact, when he is president, he will do this. So getting rid of Gary Gensler is definitely going to happen if he gets elected as president of the United States. Day one, Gary Gensler's gone. And the other thing that he said regarding CBDCs, and he said that there will be no CBDC when I'm president. I'm not sure about that one due to the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund, the amount of pressure that's coming from the Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum, and the International Monetary Fund. I'm not sure how that one's going to, essentially play out quite well or not. Now, that was Trump's perspective on the whole cryptocurrency space and Bitcoin space, which is all positive. Absolutely bullish. And he said, I believe in the idea of self-custody. Everybody should, have the right to custody their own cryptocurrencies and so on. Now, the other perspective, Kamala Harris. You should always hear both perspectives, but obviously Kamala Harris has the same IQ level as a goldfish. Kamala Harris strengthens ties with cryptocurrency industry. Apparently, Kamala Harris has realized that she's losing voters. The crypto community is definitely not going to be voting for Kamala Harris. And she's decided to change her stance. And by changing her stance means having conversations with crypto companies. She had a conversation, essentially, with Coinbase, essentially executive board members, Ripple's executive board members, Kraken, and a few other major crypto companies out there. Now, in Circle, essentially. We're going to be talking about that as well. But before we do that, let's go inside the comment section first. If you have a comment, put it down inside the comment section. Let's see what we got in the comment section. Messi, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I think it was more awesome him calling out Elizabeth Warren. We know Gary Gensler is already gone. Yes, and also, essentially Trump calling out Elizabeth Warren, and essentially Trump saying, Operation Chokehold will come to an end, which is essentially Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, and the Fed. And a member of the banking community as well, which he's also getting fired as well. But Operation Chokehold coming to an end, which is the operation holding back mainly out of the entire crypto space, Ripple, because Bitcoin is not held back as much as Ripple. There's not a single crypto project that's held back as much as Ripple and XRP. Bitcoin, at least they have their own ETF, essentially. Multiple institutions adapting to Bitcoin. They're going to be going to lending and borrowing from Wall Street. We're going to get into that as well on tonight's live show. But out of 24,000 crypto projects, the only Operation Chokehold has only been essentially chokeholding XRP and Ripple in that matter. So Operation Chokehold coming to an end was the words that essentially Trump said as well, which is great to hear, honestly. Absolutely amazing speech, without a doubt. I wonder if there was a standing ovation when President Trump said he'll fire Gary on the first day. Honestly, it was absolutely amazing. XRP Army, let's go crypto, Lou XRP. I'm sure Trump got educated about cryptocurrencies and changed his mind, which is wonderful thing. He's able to grow and comprehend. Definitely, it's good to see when politicians adapt. Definitely. How's your day been, Miles, on CMF? Lena, it's been great. How's your day, Lena? A goldfish? Yeah, Kamala Harris. Honestly, Kamala Harris shares the exact same brain cells as a goldfish. I mean, genuinely. She's realized that, not attending the crypto conference, the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, didn't really go too well for Kamala Harris. And she's decided to come out and say, essentially, her team are spreading news that Kamala Harris is having conversations with Coinbase and Ripple and Circle executive members and so on. So here's the perspective from Kamala Harris. So we've heard the perspective from Trump, which was absolutely amazing. Now this is their perspective. Kamala Harris strengthens ties with cryptocurrency industry, apparently. Vice President Kamala Harris' efforts to essentially reconstruct her relationships with cryptocurrency industries have drawn attention as a part of the Democratic Party's strategy to strengthen its ties with the business world. This move carries significant signals for future collaborations between the crypto industry and the Democrats. Now, there are members in Democrats, essentially, that are also in favor of cryptocurrencies, and same as the Republicans as well. Now, Kamala Harris turns to cryptocurrency field. Kamala Harris' campaign recently aimed to reinforce her presence in the cryptocurrency world by engaging with leading figures in the crypto sector. Meetings with giants like Coinbase, Circle, and Ripple Labs aims to strengthen the Democratic Party's relationship with the crypto sector and establish a more solid foundation in this area. This step is seen as an effort to balance the negative impacts of Biden administration regulatory actions on the sector and create a regulatory framework compatible with technology. Now, also another thing to point out as well, Trump did say in his speeches that Kamala Harris is going to be keeping Gary Gensler around and also making Gary Gensler a treasury, which is not good. That's just giving Gary Gensler more power, which is not good at all. I mean, the power that Gary Gensler already has is too much power for him to handle, and he's abusing that power. Imagine Gary Gensler as a treasury. Not good. So I don't know what they're exactly talking about, the Kamala Harris administration group, the Harris administration. I don't know what they're exactly talking about regarding, being pro-crypto and so on, if they're planning on keeping Gary Gensler around. Now, Kamala Harris's move is considered an effort to essentially reorganize the tensions experienced under the Biden administration. The constructive dialogue established with the sector aims to create a regulatory environment that supports the growth of cryptocurrency worlds. However, no public announcement has been made about these efforts yet, and the silence of companies like Ripple and Coinbase is noteworthy. What does this essentially initiative mean? This initiative emerged in parallel with the support of Donald Trump received from the crypto community. The former president seems to have left his previous doubts about cryptocurrencies behind, and his upcoming speech at the Bitcoin conference shows his advocacy for the sector, definitely for Trump. And major players in the sector raising large funds through crypto-friendly political action committees, the PACs, and essentially are among Trump's supporters. Kamala Harris's campaign advisors emphasize that strategy is not solely aimed on obtaining election contributions. which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. The Harrison campaign, Kamala Harris's campaign, actually came out and said, it's not all about the donations. It doesn't matter if we don't get enough donations. But if you don't get enough donations, that means you don't have enough supporters. If you don't have enough supporters, that means you don't have enough voters. If you don't have enough voters, well, that part's just common sense. That means you're not chosen. The main goal is to reshape the Democrats' stance towards the business world and promote the responsible growth of the crypto sector. This strategy aims to improve relations with the technology community, considering criticisms of the Biden administration policies on issues such as the antitrust regulations. Yeah, Kamala Harris, the Kamala Harris essentially campaign advisors share the exact same brain cells as Kamala Harris, which is comparable to a goldfish. Because how can Kamala Harris's essentially campaign advisors, her campaign advisors, come out and say it's not all about contributions, it's not all about raising money? If you don't raise money from contributors, that means you don't have enough supporters. And if you don't have enough supporters, that means you don't have enough voters. And if you don't have enough voters, it means you're not chosen, love. It's a bit common sense, honestly. So I don't know, honestly, Kamala Harris's campaign advisors definitely share the same brain cells as Kamala Harris. And I don't know if I'm, comparing her and her advisors to a goldfish looks bad for the goldfish at this point. But genuinely, same brain cells as a goldfish. Now, US essentially House representatives called for new SEC chairman as well. So on the exact same day, which is today, Trump coming out, making a impressive essentially announcement that day one, he will get rid of Gary Gensler. On the other hand, Kamala Harris is going to be making essentially Gary Gensler her US Treasury, which is the worst possible idea ever. And it doesn't make you look pro-crypto in any sort of a way. If you want to be pro-crypto, get rid of Gary Gensler. Anybody that essentially gets rid of Gary Gensler is pro-crypto. That's how you show you're pro-crypto. The reason why we don't have innovation inside the United States is because there's a man that's named Gary Gensler as the US chairman, and he's stifling innovation. Now, the other guy, which is named essentially Rostam Benham, which is the CFTC chairman, him, on the other hand, he's trying to show and bring innovation inside the United States. He's the chairman of the CFTC. He wants to bring innovation. But the other guy, the SEC chairman, is against crypto. So get rid of Gary Gensler, problem solved. It's so easy. But Kamala Harris wants to make Gary Gensler US Treasury. So how does that make you pro-crypto in any sort of a way? Honestly. Now, on the same day, essentially, Trump announced that on day one, he would get rid of Gary Gensler, which is the Today speech he made. Today is also the same day that the US House Representatives decided to call for a new SEC chairman and pro-crypto VP candidates. The US House Representatives sent a letter. They made a very, very bold move today. The same day that essentially Trump made this speech of getting rid of Gary Gensler, they sent a letter out that we need a new SEC chairman today. So we're going to go through that news. But before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. If you have any comments, put it down to the comment section. We do live Q&As. Right now, we are live as usual every night on X Live and on YouTube Live. We're live on both, and that's where the comment section is mixed. There's comments from X users and YouTube users in the comment section right now. If you have a comment, put it down. A goldfish, let's go. Important. He said regulations in 100 days. Yes, he did, which is good because within 100 days, you can establish a very good part of regulations. It could be sooner as well, but it's good. 100 days gives them enough time to come up with actual proper regulations that can be used and obtained. I don't trust her. If she wins, all her goody two-shoes with crypto is out the window. Facts. Absolute facts. What Semper has just said. Stormy, let's go. Hello, how are you today? I love my CMF. Let's go, Scott. Scott, how you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles. How's your parents? How are you? And how's your business? My business is doing very well. My family's doing very well as well. Scott, thanks so much for asking. I sent you a DM, Scott. I'll check it out after this live show. Apologies for the lateness. I'll check it out after this live show. Good to see you as well, Scott. How you been? So, U.S. House Representatives. A call for new SEC chairman. In a bold move, U.S. House Representatives have urged the Democratic Party to revamp its crypto policies. They called for a new SEC chairman and a pro-crypto vice president candidate in a recent letter to the Democratic Party. Notably, this shift comes aimed growing crypto dominance essentially on the U.S. political landscape and Trump's soaring popularity due to his recent pro-crypto stance. US House Representatives calls for pro-crypto policies. So not only is Trump right now making massive speeches today, getting rid of Gary Gensler, becoming a pro-crypto country, the US House Representatives are also, essentially making bold movements today. Representative essentially Wiley Nickel, along with 14 Democratic Congress members, including Ro Khanna, penned a letter advocating for significant changes to be happening. The letter outlines 4 key demands to the Democratic National Committee, include a pro-digital asset language in the party's essentially platform, select a vice president candidate sophisticated in digital asset policies. That might be a bit of a struggle for the Democratic Party. Select a pro-innovation SEC chairman, definitely needed. Engage with expert industries, definitely. The US House Representatives argue that the digital asset hold essentially immense potential for innovation, economic growth, and financial conclusion in America. They believe the current SEC approach creates a essentially hostility towards cryptocurrencies, which conflicts with the party's progressive values. Meanwhile, the letter noted that the leaders like Senate Majority Leader essentially Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi have already supported transparent crypto regulations, but the party needs a stronger stance to reflect its commitment to innovation. Notably, the letter highlights the growing crypto community's frustration against the SEC overreach. A closer look into the report, the letter emphasizes the broad acceptance of digital assets among Americans, highlighting their potential to the finance and spur economic opportunities of blockchain technology. Over 52 million Americans have adapted to digital assets, with significant uptake among Gen Z, Black and Latino Americans, and immigrant communities. Key democratic essential constitutions, the letter noted. These are all the things that's written in the letter that they sent out. Meanwhile, the House representatives noted that crypto is essentially a top issue for voters in swing states, with over 20% identifying it as a crucial for 2024 elections inside the United States. The push for balanced approach aims to spur innovation while protecting consumers, positioning the Democratic Party as a chairman of essentially technological advancements. The US House Representatives stressed the need for a pro-digital asset language in the party's platform, a vice president candidate well-versed in digital asset policies, a pro-innovation SEC chairman, and an active engagement with industry experts. They argue that the digital assets are non-parasitic and can help restore the US's leadership in the global digital economy. Meanwhile, Representatives Nikki also essentially highlighted Trump's previous anti-crypto stance in the Bitcoin Conference 2024. Despite this, Trump's recent shift towards a pro-crypto stance has been praised by many in the crypto markets. Notably, some critics view the letter as a strategic move to attract crypto voters. Despite that, many have essentially argued that it is already too late to shift their focus towards crypto. In my point of view, it's never too late. However, the call for a new SEC chairman and a pro-crypto vice president candidate represents a significant shift in the Democratic Party's approach to digital assets. By embracing crypto, the party aims to essentially appeal to the growing demographic of voters and position itself as a leader in the rapidly evolving digital economy. Was Trump the push that they needed to send this letter? Because they could have sent this letter a very, very, very long time ago. The US House Representatives, with their bold move that they did today, essentially sending a letter and urging the Democratic Party to revamp their crypto policies. This is something that they could have done a long time ago, but they didn't. So Trump's big, bold speech today, was that the push that essentially the US House Representatives needed to draw up this letter and send it to the Democratic Party to essentially reorganize themselves and get on board the same way the Republican Party has towards cryptocurrencies? It looks like it. I mean, because Trump making a big announcement that the day one, Gary Gensler is fired, Elizabeth Warren is fired, Operation Chokehold comes to an end, and it's the exact same day that the US House Representatives send out a letter to the Democratic Party and telling them you need to essentially find a new US SEC chairman, a new essentially candidate, a crypto candidate, and also somebody that understands blockchain technology. You need to select a vice president candidate sophisticated. The letter suggested sophisticated in digital asset policies. Something major is definitely happening in terms of politics inside the United States. The closer we get to this whole political, the closer we get to this whole who's going to be the next president of the United States. And absolutely amazing to see it. honestly, absolutely amazing to see. It's good to see this push happening without a doubt. Now, any news over there that the power has relayed in Paris? Any news over there that the power has relayed in Paris? No, no news on that basis. JP, elaborate. Also, the next news to go for on tonight's live show is regarding the Ripple versus SEC situation. So we've got a sort of an update type of situation from Ripple lawyers on this matter, and so Judge Torres's deliberates on rulings and weigh-ins on regulations. A lot of things are happening in terms of politics right now. So Ripple versus SEC. Judge Torres' deliberates on rulings and weigh-ins on regulations. Now, obviously when Trump announced getting rid of Gary Gensler, I'm guessing the people inside the Bitcoin conference that were jumping up and down and clapping their hands were most likely XRP holders as well. Because as I've said previously, the only crypto project that is, being chokehold by Operation Chokehold, which is an operation that Trump said he will get rid of, which essentially is Vivori, Gary Gensler, and essentially a banking member, has only been affecting, essentially, out of 24,000 crypto projects, the only crypto project that's been affected the most by Operation Chokehold is pretty much Ripple and XRP. So on this matter, Ripple versus SEC, Judge Torres' deliberates on final rulings over penalties and injunctions in the remedies phase, with reviews of potential appeals by the parties. The XRP, essentially retail section, and lawyers anticipate a decision in the lawsuit in August. Now, after a July nearly ends without any progress, experts point out to appeals likely underway in the lawsuit immediately after the court's verdicts. Now, I have my own perspectives on this matter as well, which is essentially, I don't believe Gary Gensler has the kahunas to essentially appeal any part of this case, knowing that his job is on the line. The reason why Gary Gensler approved essentially the Ethereum ETFs so rapidly when they were supposed to be going to this long process of, is Ethereum a security, is Ethereum a commodity, and then all of a sudden we had the FIT21 Act being passed through, essentially just by the House of Representatives, and then on the same day, Gary Gensler goes, yes, we approve Ethereum ETFs, don't worry about it. I don't possibly see Gary Gensler having the kahunas to essentially appeal any part of this Ripple case, knowing that his job is on the line indefinitely right now. Experts weigh in on the appeals in Ripple versus SEC case. Ripple's multiple wins have made the lawsuit probably the weakest case for the US SEC, as considered by many, including wealth advisor Mikkel. Yes, the Ripple versus SEC case has definitely shown to the entire world, pretty much, if you're inside the blockchain space, of how incompetent not only is the SEC, but mainly the chairman, Gary Gensler. However, as lawyers indicated, both parties could still file appeals against previous decisions. Many motions, including expert evidence, unsealed documents, and final judgments, are pending before Judge Anais Torres and Judge Sarah Netburn. Some lawyers, such as Fred Ripsey and James Murphy, claimed that the Judge Torres could bypass motions before Judge Netburn and announce final judgment in the remedies phase in July or August. Now, if it happens in August, it lines up perfectly with what essentially Brad just said. Now, Ripple versus SEC expert Sherry said that the SEC not appealing the case will hurt all their other involving cases in crypto, which is true. After the Ripple SEC case comes in such is concluded and it comes to an ending, Ripple versus SEC comes to an ending, it obviously makes the SEC look absolutely incompetent to the world. And that's not good look for SEC. But if the SEC tries to appeal that, it makes them even look 10 times worse, because there's no judge in this entire, essentially in the entire US government that's going to be given any sort of green lights. The SEC has failed not just with the Ripple case, but the SEC actually lost against Binance. A lot of people don't know this either. The CFTC was the one that closed the case around Binance, sued them, took essentially CZ to prison, which wasn't a good move. CZ was an absolute genius. But either way, the SEC hasn't essentially won any sort of major cases in the crypto space. They actually even took one crypto firm by lying to the judges, which ended bad for the SEC. The office on the SEC had to close down. The 2 lawyers were fired. Big commotions that happened essentially, but this whole case comes to an ending. It definitely makes the SEC look bad, but if the SEC even tries to appeal this case, it makes them look 10 times worse than the ending of the case. So with expert Sherry weighing in on the matter and saying that, that the appealing the case will hurt all their other involving crypto cases. It definitely will be. Also, she asked why wouldn't Ripple file an appeal against the decision that the ODL sales or securities offerings. Now, regarding Ripple's essentially ODL offerings and their sales, one thing that Sherry, the expert, probably didn't know is that Ripple sells their XRPs through their subsidiary on the Singapore, essentially on the Singapore's authorities. So Ripple has a license and a subsidiary in Singapore, which means that that's the way that they've been selling their XRP to other businesses around the world is through Singapore. So they don't really need to appeal any sort of cases inside the United States to make their XRP coin look good in any sort of way, because they've been doing it through loopholes, legal loopholes, not illegal, but legal, fully legal within the law, under essentially licensings in Singapore. They've been doing that either way. Now, the company makes more money through its XRP ODL sales, which is true. Now, penalties should not be concerned. Penalties should not be concerned for Ripple and the XRP army, as Judge Torres will decide an amount with an explanation. The wording of the injunction would be the deciding factor, which will impact its business, essentially Ripple's business, for moving forward. Former SEC lawyer Mark Fergel said that the SEC publicly proclaimed its intent to appeal the case. Beyond that, there are things that one can speculate about the impact of these cases, changes in policy or strategy, etc. However, the earlier intellectual appeal, rejection, and risk of escalations to second courts are key concerns for the SEC if they appeal against the summary judgment, which even basically means a former SEC lawyer coming out and saying if the SEC even tries to appeal the Ripple case, it will end very bad for the SEC. Now, this is coming from a former SEC lawyer, by the way. Controversial stance on settlements. Settlement in the XRP law case remains the most controversial part of the case, with speculation arising after a move by Ripple or the SEC. With the latest speculation sparked of the SEC's closed-door meeting, Ripple's CEO Brad's comments on the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit and a settlement during an interview with Bloomberg made it more intense. The interview that they're referring to regarding Bloomberg is when essentially he was asked about the question of when is this case going to completely come to an end, and Brad doubled down on what he said on the XRP Ledger event in Amsterdam, which was when he was asked the question, it's going to happen sooner than you think on the ending of the XRP case, and also it's going to be happening at the end of summer. So he doubled down on that matter on a Bloomberg interview when he was asked the question, which was good to see on him doubling down on what he exactly said, word for word, in the Apex Ledger event. Now, nevertheless, lawyers including Mark Fergel and Bill Morgan have cleared the air on the recent settlement rumors. Ripple executives have denied any discussions on settlements. However, the court is likely to give the parties time to meet and confer on settlements. So the possibility of a settlement still might be around, that the courts will give them time for a settlement, possibly. Ripple CLO Stewart on regulatory clarity. Stewart, the chief legal officer at Ripple, talked about the essentially evolving crypto asset regulation landscape. As per a EUI video posted on July 26, Stewart delved into the EU, UK, and US regulatory approaches, focusing on the differences between the EU's MiCA regulations on cryptocurrencies, the UK's Financial Services and Markets Act 2023, and the US regulations by enforcement strategy, which isn't going too well. Now, he expressed dissatisfaction with regulations by enforcements inside the United States. When it comes to crypto, fortunately, the crypto regulations are on the way in the Congress. Essentially said Ripple CLO, which is true. It is, good to see Congress making some movements, especially today, sending out a letter to Democratic Party to start moving towards cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. Now, the regulators need a measured regulation to monitor bad actors from good actors and protecting investors while ensuring the smooth adaptation of technological innovations. I've said this and I'll say this again. Regarding Operation Chokehold, regarding any other crypto project, the number one crypto project that has been definitely stifled so much inside the United States is Ripple. Out of 24,000 crypto projects, the only crypto project that is actually being stifled the most is definitely Ripple. Out of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Ethereum, any crypto project you can imagine, the only crypto project that's been stifled the most is obviously XRP in Ripple's case. But this case is definitely going to be coming to an end. And the matter of will Gary Gensler, in any sort of a way, try to appeal this case? He must be an absolute moron. Honestly, if Gary Gensler thinks that appealing any part of this case is a smart strategy in his point of view, Gary Gensler must, in this matter, share the exact same brain cells as essentially Kamala Harris as well, which is a goldfish. Because, they tried to appeal the case once and the judge said, no, forget about it. So if they try to appeal again, the judge will most likely say, no, forget about it. If they don't, they're going to lose either way. And Gary Gess is going to lose his job either way. So it's not looking good for him in any sort of way. And yeah, so Gary Gess should just quit while he's ahead, because the votes do seem to be going towards Trump, which is a better future for the United States. Definitely, it's a better future for the United States. If you think, Kamala Harris is the better option for the United States, you must also be a moron, to be fairly honest. Kamala Harris, as I said, she has the exact same brains as a goldfish. She has zero understanding of blockchain technology, zero understanding of how businesses work or how economies work, and zero understandings of anything, to be fairly honest. So, you must be a moron as well if you support Kamala Harris. She's not good for the future of the United States in any sort of a way. But Trump is, because... Now, those are the two options. Now, there is obviously RF Kennedy Jr. as well, if you want to go for that matter as well. So there's RF Kennedy Jr., there's Trump, and there's Kamala. Now, some people might think neither is a good option, which is fair enough. If you want to be a neutral party, fair enough. You're not a moron. If you want to be a neutral party, you're not a moron. If you want to go for Trump, you're looking out for the future of the United States. If you go for Kamala Harris, you're an absolute moron. There's no way around it. If you're going for RF Kennedy Jr., why not? He's a great man. He made some great points at the Bitcoin conference as well, without a doubt. And so, regarding that matter, she's definitely not going to be bringing any sort of innovation inside this crypto space whatsoever. But now she is having talks with crypto firms, as I said, regarding Coinbase, Ripple, Circle. She's having some conversations with these crypto firms as if that's going to make any sort of difference. Now, I did say for a fact that if, and I mean big if, Kamala Harris, by some miracle, makes it the US presidency, it's only because it's completely rigged. I mean, they've been doing everything within their power to remove Trump from becoming president of the United States. They tried to get him with felonies. They tried to even take him out. And the last result will most likely be a rigged election if they do try to put Kamala in that position, because I think Americans have learned their lesson. The people that voted for Joe Biden, most likely some of those people have learned their lesson that that didn't go too well. So if you want to experience that again, you must be an absolute moron. Because I never understood the point of people supporting Kamala Harris on the basis of, gas went, you can't afford gas inside the United States. You couldn't afford to pay your mortgages, your loans, your groceries were too high, your electrics were too high. Everything was way priced higher than it should be. And people couldn't afford pretty much anything. So I don't know any moron that's standing there going, yes, I want to experience that again for another 4 years, but make it 10 times worse for me. I don't want to eat at all because I don't want to buy food. Who needs food? Who needs a house to live in? Who needs electrics? Who needs gas? Nobody needs any of those things. That's what's essentially going to be happening if you vote for Kamala Harris. Things will get a million times worse inside the United States. You thought having Sleepy Joe as president was bad? Imagine Kamala Harris for the next 4 years. Your lives will be absolutely ruined. It's just common sense at this point. But obviously, common sense ain't that common. So honestly, common sense is not that common anymore, which is a shame. Now, U.S. Senator Luminous made also essentially a bold speech today. U.S. Senator Luminous proposes the U.S. to buy 1 million Bitcoin to reduce their national debt. Is also essentially what was mentioned by Trump as well on the matter of, backing Bitcoin with the national debt as a reserve asset and so on, which, could be a great move. Whoever controls the majority of Bitcoin will be able to control the price point of it, which, if America does this move, then they can control the price, which is good for them on that basis. So U.S. Senator Cynthia Luminous plans to essentially introduce legislations calling for a strategic Bitcoin reserve that will reduce the national debt of the United States by buying 1 million Bitcoin over the course of 5 years. The Bitcoin would be held for at least 20 years, she said. This is a solution. This is the answer. This is our Louisiana Purchase moment, the Wyoming senator said on a stage after former President Donald Trump spoke and endorsed the idea of Bitcoin reserves. At current prices, 1 million Bitcoins will be worth $68 billion, which means the United States is going to be investing $68 billion into Bitcoin in the course of 5 years if Trump gets elected. And that's going to be her plan. Because if Trump doesn't get elected, which is the other person, which is Kamala Harris, if she gets elected by some miracle, and this plan won't go to plan at all. Senator Luminous will never be able to purchase 1 million Bitcoin in any sort of a way under Kamala Harris. It's just not possible. But with Trump in power, Senator Luminous can easily make this move happen. And knowing Trump, If he says something, he will do it. That's why the entire world, essentially, we're talking about yesterday on this live show, that they might not respect Trump, but they definitely fear Trump. The entire world definitely feared Trump. Even if they didn't respect him, they definitely feared him. So he's a man that says something and he does it. And that's a man to fear. And that's a man as a great leader of a country. Or anybody, anybody, male or female. If you say something and you do it, respect to you, honestly. If you say something, you do it, respect you. Which is, regarding politicians. Politicians tend to say something and they never do it. So it's a breath of fresh air when you see a politician say something and he does it. Now, before we go through the next news, which is regarding Wall Street has also made some huge announcements regarding this whole Bitcoin conference, and that Wall Street is going to open up a Bitcoin financing and lending business. This is Wall Street's perspective, essentially. They're going to be opening up a Bitcoin financing and lending business, which is a major movement from Wall Street. Wall Street was essentially the same market space that said crypto is for scammers, crypto is for morons, and crypto is going to go to zero, Bitcoin is going to go to zero. This is the same Wall Street that said all these things. And now there's the same Wall Street that's going to be opening their doors and opening essentially their arms to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and going to be opening up a Bitcoin financing and lending business within Wall Street, which is a major movement. Absolute major movement. Now, before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section. If you have any comments, put it down inside the comment section. I'm reading everybody's comments one by one. Breaking news: the power is out. Paris at the Olympics. The power has gone out. The power has gone out in Paris, and the whole Olympics situation in Paris. Absolute disrespect to Christianity. The whole situation in Paris, that they were, the opening ceremony and so on and so on. Absolute disrespect to Christianity. Absolute disrespect to God. Now, I've said this previously before that. When it comes to religion, I have no religion, and I just believe in God. I always just believe in God, and I always do the right thing, and I always help people when I can. And I respect everybody's religion. But what I saw in the Paris situation, absolute disrespect to Christianity, absolute disrespect to God. Doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter if you're Muslim, if you're Hindu, no matter what religion you are, if you saw that opening event at Paris, you should, essentially be infuriated as well. Because every religion at the end of the day leads back to one God, basically. So the opening ceremony at Paris was an absolute disrespect to God. It was an absolute disrespect to the religion of Christianity, and it should have never happened in the first place. The power, yeah. Maybe it's God punishing them when the power has gone out in Paris. Stormy, let's go. I have a feeling August is the month. Power has gone out on a quarter of French railways due to vandalism. Me too. Let's go, Stormy. Eurostar services cancelled. He committed crimes, Miles, that you and I would already be in jail for if we committed in the United States. So please stop saying and acting like these crimes were Trump. They weren't. His crimes were... Yes, they were there, but not as, impactful as they were. And the evidence wasn't that strong. A few years ago, Trump was extremely negative about crypto. Now he's crypto friendly. Which Trump do you believe? I believe that people can adapt. They are all crooks and liars. I believe in that matter as well. All politicians are crooks and liars on that matter. I prefer as my mentor that you respect me rather than fear me. It is better relationship. It is. And I wouldn't see anybody as essentially... Trump's not trying to be a mentor. He's trying to run a country. That's what the point I was also trying to make as well. That is full of evil. He has to do what has to be done. Good. Yes, which is true. And on that matter, yes, regarding Trump, as a mentor situation, no. But you need someone, as I was explaining yesterday, you need someone that has a firm hand and says, this is wrong, this is right. And America being a country that essentially leads the world. Some people don't like to hear that sentence, America is the country that leads the world, but it is true. Okay, it's true on the basis on terms of from the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Economic Forum. These are the three parties that you can ask. And if you say to them who leads the world, they're not going to be saying the Middle East or China or Russia. They're going to be telling you the United States. The Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund once made a quote that, essentially when the American markets sneeze, the rest of the markets around the world catch a cold, which is true. When the US market goes down, the entire world economy goes down. It's just factual information. So on that basis, this is why yesterday I was making a point of, you need a firm hand, especially in today's world. It needs to be set what is right and what is wrong. And there's a lot of wrong happening around the world that needs to be set right. And Trump is a guy that can make that happen. Now, if there was anybody else just like Trump, I'll be going for them as well and saying this person is the best choice, because he has a firm hand and he will do, as he says it, he will do it. But here's the thing, from past experiences, okay, on that matter, from past experiences, as I prefer my mentor that you respect me rather than fear me, it is better relationship. It is a better relationship. As a mentor, it's definitely a better relationship without a doubt. But you shouldn't see Trump as a mentor. You should see him as somebody that's going to lead the world in the right direction. And from past experiences, Trump being in power, Trump being a president of the United States in the past, and the world definitely feared him. And as I explained yesterday, the world definitely feared him. And that's a good thing. Right now, as I said previously, many countries are feared that Trump is going to be coming into power, especially Iran. And I'm Persian myself, so I'm Iranian. And the Iranian government is absolutely scared. Absolutely scared. If you watch Iranian news and you understand the Persian language, the Iranian government is absolutely scared that Trump might come into power and stifle all their operations. Russia has a good relationship with President Donald Trump, which is good to see. I mean, Putin has a good relationship because the last thing we want is wars. Trump will stop all wars, which is a good thing to see. He will fix the economy, which is also good to see as well. He can do many things. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, will continue more wars. Here's a bet for anyone out there. I bet both of my lungs that if by some miracle Kamala Harris makes it the presidency, more wars will continue. If she ever makes it the presidency, there will be more wars around the world. I can bet both my lungs on it. That if by some rigged election she makes it the presidency, there will be more wars around the world, and the wars that are still going on will still continue. I'll bet both my lungs on it. That's how confident I am. I agree. I have changed my mind about many things many times. I just wonder which person do we believe? We believe a person that can adapt is what we believe. They don't need lights. That's a disgrace. Facts. Let's go, Mike. It was a disgrace. No wonder the lights are out now. Absolutely. Amen, Miles. Appreciate your voice. Let's go, Katie. Let's go, Kate. Miles, I heard that $45.6 million XRP was withdrawn today from Binance. What are your thoughts? When a huge amount of essentially any cryptocurrency gets withdrawn from essentially any exchange, is an indication of not selling. It's also an indication that possibly something could be happening. I put my life on the line for over 20 years for a country that treats minorities like us. And how can I respect a man or a woman as a commander-in-chief that hasn't served? I understand that point as well. I completely understand that point as well. Many Trumpers are racist. They do not benefit from Trump's decisions, except there will be 1%ers. On that basis as well, I'm not going to be commenting on the matter of the Trumpers being racist. They could be and they could not be. They could possibly be as well. But on that matter, not going to get into it because it might get flagged up if I say anything on that matter. But if you're a racist, you're a moron, is what I would have to say in a very simple sentence. If you're a racist, you're a moron. There's just no way around it. You're an absolute moron if you're a racist, especially in today's time and world. If you're a racist, you're an absolute moron. There's no way around it. But, on that matter of if they are, if they're not, we can't call everybody racist. Maybe some of them are, and some, in your words as well, many. But on the matter of, you putting your life on the line for over 20 years, I completely respect that. You putting your life on the line for 20 years for a country that treats minorities like us, how can I respect a man or a woman essentially as a commander-in-chief? Now, obviously, if anybody doesn't know, Scott has served in the military, as a commander's chief, which, thank you for your service, Scott. Honestly, even though I'm not American, but I still respect that. And, essentially, how can you be voting for somebody that hasn't served? Well, Scott, the only thing I can say to that basis is basically everybody is good for a task. And, Trump is good in terms of bringing back the economy. He might have not served in the military, which he did at a very young age, but I think he dropped out of the military. His backstory was. But, on the basis of, we need somebody that can fix the economy, mostly. Somebody that could fix the economy. So him having served or not served in the military, we could put that to one side. We need somebody that could fix the economy is what we actually need. Somebody that understands how a business operates and works, and he can treat this entire country as a business and get the show up and running is what we basically need. So him having to essentially serve or not serve is not the main point of this matter, because we're not getting ready to go to war. We actually want to create peace, stop wars, and fix the economy. So on the matter of him not being served, that's a preference. But we don't need him to be served in any sort of a way, to be, have a background in army in any sort of a way. We need him to fix the economy is what we need him to do, and bring peace, essentially, just end all wars. And we know for a fact, when, if he is elected as a president of the United States, the war between Russia and Ukraine will come to an end. Any of the wars around the world will come to an end. He's done it before. He's done it before, and he will do it again. That's the only reason they got rid of him as well, to be fairly honest. The only reason they got rid of Trump is because they wanted to start wars. And Trump didn't want to start wars. So they got rid of Trump. They ramped up the news articles, and they said Trump is this, Trump is that, and they pushed him out of power. And then what happened after they pushed Trump out of power? The war started. Because Trump wanted world peace. But the greedy politicians that just wanted power and money wanted wars. And Trump didn't want wars, so they pushed Trump out of power and started wars. And now he's coming back into office. He's going to stop all the wars again. Because they fear him. They fear him. They fear the United States. They fear the United States military when he's in power. Hello, Miles and family. Leave. Good to see you. How you doing? Same here. Let's go. I still want to be rich. Let's go, Scott. Everybody wants that dream, honestly. Or a goal, not a dream, a goal. My father served in Vietnam and does not recommend people to serve, so to each his own. No one will fear Kamala, not Putin, not Kim Jong-un, not even the other group. Yeah, true. Let me be clear. I have benefited from many of Trump's policies and my income bracket. I just totally disagree on his behavior socially. Fair point. Trump is anti-war. Facts. Teach Miles. Well said, Miles. Thank you, thank you. And Scott, I'm with you as well. But it's nice to see he's looking after the military. Honestly, it's nice to see that Trump is looking after the military as well. Something that Biden failed to do. To be fair, Biden failed at everything. He failed at looking after his own American people. He failed at looking after his military. He failed at everything, to be fairly honest. There's not one positive about Biden, possibly. No. Not a single positive thing about Biden. Which will be the same case for Kamala Harris. There'll be 0 positives about Kamala Harris for 4 years. Was Margaret Thatcher respected worldwide as well? I mean, it was an interesting topic on that matter. Now, Wall Street. Wall Street's Cantor Fitzgerald to open Bitcoin financing lending business. Financial services firm Cantor Fitzgerald will open essentially a Bitcoin financing business, CEO Howard said at the Bitcoin conference. Many speeches were made. He said, we are going to launch with a $2 billion in lending, he said, and increase the facilities in $2 billion tranches as needed. He later added, we are going to welcome Bitcoin into the financing family of the global financial markets. By the global financial markets, he's talking about Wall Street. Wall Street, as I said, is about to be opening their doors to, opening their arms, their doors to Bitcoin, starting with Bitcoin, and they're going to be essentially going into lending and borrowing. $2 billion is what they're starting off with. So they definitely believe in it if they're starting with $2 billion. And this was essentially announced at the Bitcoin conference. The business will provide leverage to Bitcoin holders, according to the press release. Cantor Fitzgerald's also new leading facility isn't the first step into crypto. It already does business with stablecoin issuer Tether. The firm additionally owns a S-load of Bitcoin, Luntic said. And Cantor Fitzgerald is also well known on Wall Street as one of the world's biggest bond brokerages, US bonds, and already essentially handles US treasuries trading with the biggest stablecoin issuer, Tether. So, Wall Street, which was against cryptocurrencies, against Bitcoin, called Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme once upon a time ago. They called cryptocurrencies for scammers and morons, is now opening their arms to Bitcoin lending and borrowing facilities. And they're starting with a $2 billion portfolio, which, I mean, if you want confidence in in any sort of act or movement that you're doing, if you're putting down $2 billion, you definitely have confidence in the matter. And the next news we are going to be talking about on tonight's live show is the BRICS nations, which is Brazil, essentially Russia, India, China, and essentially the nations that South Africa that are aiming to go against the US. Now, this is what was announced by the Russian executive director, that BRICS is poised to dominate World Bank and International Monetary Fund, says Russian executive director. The BRICS nations are poised to dominate the World Banks and the International Monetary Fund. Now, before we go through that, on what exactly was said by the Russian executive directors on dominating the world markets, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were. Again, if you have any comments, put it down to the comment section. I'm reading everybody's comments one by one. Biden made a big blunder of the Afghan withdrawal. Many of my commandos were killed. I hated it. Fair point. OMG. I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm definitely, honestly, sorry to hear that as well, Scott. Interestingly, that we all agree on many things, including politics. We just have different perspectives and priorities. True. This is an outstanding group. We converse about multiple issues, but remain respectful and close. You got to love the CMF. Let's go, Scott. We like brothers and sisters up in here. Facts, or Stormy said. Is that means that Wall Street is getting ready to trade 24/7. They're getting ready to trade on terms of lending and borrowing. Hey, Miles and CMF, sorry I'm late. I'm guessing he's trying to say Brian. Brian, don't worry about it. Good to see you, brother. How you doing? And facts on what essentially Scott just said regarding the CMF, and facts also what Stormy said regarding the CMF as well. And this is the CMF live show. If you want to join a Telegram group, it's absolutely free. Education is almost free. Join a Telegram group as well. And everybody's very respectful to each other inside the CMF. Respect is the biggest thing inside the CMF, and everybody's very respectful to each other. Everybody has different perspectives, but respect other people's opinions. And so on this matter of the Wall Street situation, they're not going to be opening their doors 24/7. What's actually going to be happening is Wall Street is going to be offering lending and borrowing services essentially to Bitcoin holders, starting with Bitcoin and then essentially expanding to other cryptocurrencies. Something that I said is going to be happening a very, very long time ago in cryptocurrencies. Whenever anybody asks me what's the next move on how to skip tax and cryptocurrencies in a very within the law, essentially path, lending and borrowing is the number one service. I mean, you can't tax debt. So I said, always wait to everybody. I said, you can essentially go into borrowing against your assets now if you wanted to. But I said it's a bad move if you want to borrow against your assets now because you don't have regulations and so on. I said, wait, more companies and more banks and so on are going to go into lending and borrowing services. Is what I said a while ago, 2023, and I also repeated what I said in 2023, and I doubled down on 2024, the beginning of the year and the middle of the year. And now we're hearing this situation from Wall Street where they're going to be going to lending and borrowing. We're going to get a lot more of lending and borrowing services coming out from banks. The first bank they announced was essentially HSBC Bank in Hong Kong. Then they're expanding over to the United Arab Emirates, and then we had essentially Standard Chartered Bank, one of the biggest essentially British banks out there as well, offering these types of services through their custodian. And their blockchain custodian in Dubai as well. Many of the banks are going to be going to lending and borrowing services. So if you ever want to skip tax on cryptocurrencies, borrowing against your assets is basically skipping tax, because you can't tax debt. Okay, intelligent people will borrow against their crypto assets to skip on tax. Morons will sell all of their cryptos and jump out. Remember, we are going into a digital world. Okay, this whole point of bear markets, bull markets, bear markets, bull markets, at one point it will come to a sort of an end for quite a lot of crypto projects, because we're going to go into utility, which is what's happening this year. Slowly we're shifting over to utility. 2024 is essentially the paperwork year. The world starts shifting into a digital era. So the more we go into utility, the more the bear market, bull market is going to be less effective towards cryptocurrencies that have contracts in place and are being used for their utility purposes. Because people have this ideology of cryptocurrencies representing like stocks. They're not stocks. They actually have a purpose. And once that purpose kicks in, that's basically their utility. This whole bear market, bull market type of situation won't be affecting quite a lot of crypto projects due to their contracts and their developments and their partnerships and their licenses and so on. And it's actually being used on a 24/7 basis by corporations worldwide, or by banks, private, public, or commercial, worldwide as well, on that matter. So lending and borrowing is going to be your number one friend to skip on taxes. So if you want to sell some of your cryptos, obviously none of this is financial advice and any sort of entertainment purposes only. If you want to sell some of your cryptos, for example, if you want to sell some of your cryptos, why not? You know, to reap up some profits. But selling your entire crypto batch, thinking it's like the same cycles that you're going to be going through, you are quite mistaken. We're not going to be going through the exact same cycles back to back, bear markets, bull markets, bear markets, bull markets, because we're going into utility. This is the year why essentially in 2023, I said 2023 is the end of the road, and 2024 is the world shifting into a digital era, which is basically what's happening. And in 2024, we've had Bitcoin ETFs, not only happening inside the United States, but happening in other jurisdictions around the world as well. We're having regulations coming out from the EU regarding MiCA. We're having regulations coming out the Financial Conduct Authority inside the United Kingdom, regulations coming out of Australia, Singapore, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and United Arab Emirates, the United States. I mean, there's big conversations going on, Canada, and so on. So the world is shifting into a digital era with regulations and policies, and politics are completely changing. So the more we shift and shift and shift, and I said this is going to happen in 2024, and we're going into CBDCs as well. As much as Trump hates the idea of CBDCs, it's something that's been pushed upon many jurisdictions, from the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund, of releasing CBDCs. And just yesterday was the announcement from essentially Brazil that CBDC is going to be launched with a super app, they're calling it. It's got AI capabilities like ChatGPT on their CBDC app, and they're creating a one bank app. So they said in Brazil, you don't need many banking apps, you need one bank app only, and that's coming out essentially in 2025. And I said this as well in 2023, that any country that doesn't launch into CBDCs in 2024 is going to be launched in 2025. The latest might be some countries 2026, but by 2027 we're pretty much into CBDCs. So the world is heavily shifting, and that comes to my point of, don't think the markets are going to be exactly the same, bear market, bull market, bear market, bull market. No, we're going out of that whole transition, because we're going to be shifting into utility with all the regulations and the policies and the politics and so on. And the more we go to utility, the more less effective the whole bear market, bull market type situation will be. So what I'm trying to say is adapt. Things are changing. And lending and borrowing will become your best friend on skipping taxes, and you can do that anywhere. You don't need to leave your countries and go to Dubai, or leave your countries and go to Monaco or any other country around the world to skip on taxes. You can just sit on your couches at home and open up your mobile phones, go to an application, and just borrow against your crypto assets and skip on tax. Obviously paying the fees, but they'll be lower than taxes. But as long as you use the money for the best ROI, you're good to go. Return on your investment. Just find the best ROI, go for it, pay it back. Or if your assets rise in value, just borrow again, pay the previous loan back. Now, because all the intelligent people will be doing that to skip tax in a very legitimate way. Now, BRICS. BRICS is poised to dominate world banks and International Monetary Fund, says Russian executive director. The World Bank executive director for Russian forecasts that BRICS nations will soon dominate the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, attributing this shift to eventual microeconomics and demographic changes away from Western dominance. He emphasized the importance of working patiently towards this goal and resisting essential priority from those upholding the old global system. Now, the old global system that the Russian executives and directors are referring to is obviously SWIFT. BRICS to dominate global financial institutions, says World Bank Executive Director for Russia. Roman, the World Bank Executive Director for Russia, said in an interview with TASS that BRICS nations will soon control the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and has represented, essentially, Roman has represented the Russian Federation and the Syrian Arab Republic at the World Bank Group since November 2018. The World Bank Executive Director emphasized that Western nations currently dominate these institutions, but macroeconomics and demographic shifts are steering control towards BRICS countries. He said, as in any other corporation, the shots are essentially called by those who own a control, which is facts. You know, if you have control of the Bank of International Settlements and if you have control over the International Monetary Fund, you have essentially control of 63 centralized banks. That's basically what it is. You have control pretty much of, not control, but influence. Let me change the words out. Influence over 63 centralized banks, including G20 countries and G7 countries. So, as in any other corporation, the shots are called by those who own a controlling stake, he described, elaborating. So far, he said, Western countries hold control over the Bretton Woods institutions, but the transition of control over to the global majority countries led by BRICS is only a matter of time due to the macroeconomics, demographics, and other trends. He's referring to the G7 countries having the most amount of stake inside the Bank of International Settlements and controlling and influencing the Bank of International Settlements, the G7 countries. Now, BRICS, a acronym of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, represents a coalition of major emerging economics. Earlier this year, the group expanded to including Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. But obviously, Argentina not being with them anymore. Now, broadening its geopolitical and economic influence, calling for an active participation and cooperation with friendly nations to expedite this transition. Roman remarked, we need to patiently work on bringing this moment closer and not give in to the essentially of these clings to outdated global systems. The World Bank Executive Director concluded by stressing the importance of Russia's involvement in this shift. Russia's voice is important here, and it would be essentially irrational not to use those possibilities, particularly now as we observe a new world order emerging. As we now observe a new world order emerging, he stated, underscoring the necessities of adapting to the evolving global landscape. If Trump is elected in this matter, this whole BRICS situation will come to an end. If Kamala is chosen on this matter, she's weak. I'm just being very honest here. And I've said this before. It's not I have something against Kamala because she's a female. As I've said previously, I know many female executives and directors that are incredibly intelligent. And I would vote for them any day of the week to become prime minister or president of any country. I know many female directors, incredibly intelligent, incredibly sophisticated, and I would choose them to become prime minister or president of any country. Kamala Harris, not that person. She has the IQ of a goldfish. And she's weak. And nobody's going to respect her, and nobody's going to fear her. The same way that nobody feared or respected Joe Biden is going to be the same situation for Kamala Harris. Do you think Putin is going to be respecting Kamala Harris? Do you think Kamala Harris has the capabilities to even put the fear of God into Putin or any other nation out there? No. Putin is laughing already at essentially Joe Biden and his incompetence. Do you think he's going to be fearing essentially Kamala Harris's movements? Hell no. The more essentially America essentially gets weakened, the more BRICS nations benefit from this matter. So, America gets fixed, BRICS comes to an end. America has control. Now, a lot of people say, oh, America's already had their time. America's time has come to an end. And, this is basically Russia's taken over, Putin's taken over, and China's taken. That's not great, just by the way. You're just moving away from one control to another. And, being under them is not great, Look, it's just common sense at this point. And let me just put it to you this way. We are moving to a new financial system. Okay, we are moving to a whole new global financial system. The world is shifting into a digital era. We are going towards CBDCs. We are going to essentially towards social credit systems, which has been implemented in quite a lot of jurisdictions, also developed by the Bill Gates Melinda Foundation for the Western countries. If you don't know that, now you know. It was announced in the World Economic Forum 2024 at the beginning of this year. But on that matter, it's two things that's in play right now. Either the empire must fall, or the empire must adapt. And in that reference, the empire is essentially the United States. Either the United States needs to fall for this to happen. It's basically what's been said by the Russian executive directors of the World Bank, the Bank of International Settlements, or the empire needs to adapt. So Kamala Harris gets chosen, the empire falls. The United States will fall. Trump gets elected and becomes president of the United States, the empire adapts and BRICS falls. So for a whole global currency type of situation, for a whole global type of situation to be happening, in his own words as well, Russia's voice is important here, and it will be irrational not to use the possibilities, and particularly now as we observe a new world order emerging. So either the empire must fall or the empire must adapt. Empire falls, Kamala Harris is chosen. Empire adapts, President Trump is basically chosen. Because we know for a fact the US will adapt if Trump is chosen. And we know for a fact that the US will fall if Kamala Harris is chosen. So either empire falls or empire adapts. Is basically the moral of the story. Because if it falls, and basically God help us all. Because having Russia and China in control, not good for anyone. Because you thought, being under the US's control as another nation or another country was bad. Imagine being under control of Russia and China. How do you think that's going to play out in the long term? So, empire adapts or empire falls. For that to happen, for the BRICS nations essentially, I would rather have the empire adapt than the empire fall. Empire adapts is better. Because, as I said previously, I'm Persian and from Iran, and my country is pretty much under some sort of control as well from China and Russia. Iran is heavily influenced and controlled by China and Russia. And China is pretty much, again, a neutral party in this matter. I'm just sharing information. Neutral party in this matter, but they've taken control of quite a lot of things in Iran by taking over land, and that's only because the Iranian government is incompetent. The Iranian government is the worst thing to ever happen in history. The Iranian government needs to be replaced ASAP, and the royal family of Iran needs to come back. The king of Iran needs to come back ASAP and fix the Middle East as well. The same way how the US can fix, Western nations, the same way how Trump can fix the Western nations is the same way how the royal family of Iran can fix the Middle East. When the royal family of Iran was in power, there was no wars in the Middle East. Not a single war happened in the Middle East. When the Shah, or essentially the king of Iran, was in power, not a single war happened in the Middle East. The moment they replaced, and they took him out of Iran and replaced him by these morons inside the Iranian government, is when all the wars started happening in the Middle East. back-to-back wars in the Middle East. Just go back in history. History doesn't lie. If you just look at the factual information, look before the king of Iran. Not a single war in Iran. Lebanon, any country you think of in the Middle East, peaceful, amazing, absolutely beautiful. When the king of Iran was in power, every country in the Middle East was absolutely beautiful. The king of Iran got shifted. These morons, the Iranian government people came through, and every war in the Middle East started. So Trump fixes the West, the king of Iran fixes the Middle East, the world pretty much goes back to normal. But yeah, and regarding this whole China and Russia situation, they have full control of Iran. It's not good either. So on that matter, I know how they are. So regarding the empire falls or the empire adapts, I know the end results. And right now for Iran, it's not looking too good either. And by empire, it's like the Roman Empire. Referring to the Roman Empire, in other words, of the presence. But in this matter, it's the US as the empire, which they control everything. Now, another thing that I also said before I say this, before I read the next news, but another thing that I did say yesterday on this live show, I was talking about how essentially regarding Ethereum ETFs and regarding Bitcoin ETFs, the downfall of the Bitcoin ETF right at the beginning of the Bitcoin ETFs was Grayscale manipulating the market space, and how Grayscale locked everybody's Bitcoins and within 6 months, and then they released the locks, charged 2.5% fee. And essentially that was the reason why the Bitcoin ETFs went downhill right at the beginning. And instead of going rocketing sky up with all the corporations coming in, it was because Grayscale manipulated the markets at a very perfect timing. And I said that Grayscale is doing the exact same thing that they did then with Ethereum. And the reason why Ethereum isn't going skyrocketing as everybody thought it would, Ethereum ETFs is absolutely amazing news. Ethereum is going to go skyrocketing. And the reason why it didn't essentially skyrocket is because Grayscale repeated history again, which is essentially what I was talking about yesterday. I was talking about this yesterday, how Grayscale was repeating in the same situation again, with locking essentially everybody's Ethereum in, and they have the biggest portfolio of Ethereum, and they locked everyone's Ethereum, charged everybody 2.5% fees, and when the locks came off, obviously everybody rushed out instead of going for an Ethereum ETF, which essentially didn't really help us price points. Same thing that they did with Bitcoin ETFs is the exact same thing they repeated with essentially Ethereum ETFs. And this is what I said yesterday. And today, news comes out. Ethereum ETFs see 341.8 million net outflows in the first week. Triggered by who? Grayscale. Why? Because they were holding everybody's Ethereums and the locks came off and they were charging 2.5% fee. Now we're going to go into this matter as well. But again, I talked about this yesterday, that Ethereum essentially wasn't going skyrocketing up. It was because of Grayscale manipulating the scales. Once again, history repeating itself. And I talked about this yesterday. And today this comes out. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were. Sorry, I'm late. I thought Trump was unimpressive and all the other players today during his BTC speech. Share the program. I already did. Let's go, Scott. I'm all in on XRP, XDC, XLM, ACH, and HBAR. I was reading some material today in the relationship or connections between XRP and XLM. Yes, Miles, you're on fire tonight, brother. Let's go, Ian. Thanks for the kind words. No world leader will respect her, Kamala Harris. Yeah, nobody's going to respect her, to be fairly honest. What about if the Empire strikes back? If the Empire strikes back. Hi, Miles. I'm driving today. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, Shelly? Trump wouldn't have any power to stop BRICS. BRICS is currently having a bigger GDP than the US and its surroundings. You are speaking like a conservative. I'm not speaking like a conservative. It's just, it's going from one leader to another. It's basically going from one leader to another. This ideology of every country will have its own leader and every country will have its own control is never going to happen. There's always going to be one country in control of other countries. It's just how the world has operated for a very long time. And it's going to be operating like this forever, pretty much. And by the looks of it, from the World Economic Forum, we're going to be going on to a one roof type of situation again. But not conservative in any sort of a way. It's just, it's going from one controlling country to another. Basically what's happening. not conservative in any sort of way. Neither party. I'm neutral party. I'm neutral party, but I understand how politics works, how manipulation works, and how corruption works. Mainly because I'm coming from the corporate sector, but I understand all these worlds. And just a neutral party, just explaining the facts and giving out the opinions of what could possibly happen. And one thing you should know about me is I'm pretty much never wrong. Almost never wrong. No, never wrong. I'm never wrong. So for over a year and a half or more, everything I've pretty much said happened back to back. So if you don't know that now, if you don't know, now you know. So just a neutral party that understands manipulation, corruption, and politics. And blockchain, because I own a blockchain startup company and work with quite a lot of executives and VC companies. But all that matter of you speaking like conservative, no, we're just going from one control leader to another control leader is what's basically happening. And Shelly, good to see you as well. You only have to look at Venezuela, the largest oil producing nations in the world, and what they have done to their people. Corruption rules. Teachers are $5 a month. Loads of sorry everyone. You only have to look at Venezuela versus the largest oil producing nation in the world and what they have done to their people. Corruption rules. Teachers are on $5 a month. Loads of people left, leaving their children behind. Yeah, Venezuela's situation is not good in any sort of way. And Venezuela is heavily manipulated as well by multiple nations. Everybody has a hand in Venezuela. The US has a hand in Venezuela. Iran has a hand in Venezuela. And China has a hand in Venezuela. Russia has a hand in Venezuela. And Venezuela is the only country that has multiple countries controlling it. Honestly, Venezuela is the only country that's pretty much controlled by multiple countries, manipulated by multiple countries. Because the US manipulates Venezuela, so does Russia, so does China, so does Iran, actually. There's probably other nations as well that manipulates them as well, but their governments are too easy to manipulate is what's going on. Now, Ethereum, but again, not conservative in any sort of way, just a neutral party that understands politics, manipulation, and corruption, and just shares the information of what will happen. If this happens, this will happen. If that happens, that will happen. Just laying out the facts. And as I said, everything that I say pretty much comes true. Almost everything. No, everything. Ethereum ETFs, as I explained yesterday, that Grayscale is the downfall of the Ethereum ETFs right at the beginning. Today, the news comes out and pretty much says what I said yesterday from my own perspective. Now, this is the news repeating my perspective. US spot Ethereum exchange traded funds. If you did see the live show yesterday, you would understand what I'm saying right now. And I give you a little brief as well. But US spot Ethereum exchange traded funds have had a mixed start this week, with net inflows into the most ETFs overshadowed by significant net outflows from Grayscale's converted fund. Data from Farsight investors shows that spot Ethereum ETFs saw just over $162 million in total outflows on Friday, July 26, marking the third consecutive day of net negative flows. In contrast, spot Bitcoin ETFs recorded a $51.8 million in net inflows on the same day, due to essentially the situation for Bitcoin ETFs passing. The whole Grayscale situation passed for Bitcoin ETFs. It only happened at the beginning and then obviously picked up on progress. So there's the same thing that's going to be happening essentially here. You know, Ethereum's going to be on a bit of a down low situation, not moving type of situation, and then skyrockets, just same way Bitcoin did. History will always repeat itself. Continuing a trend of positive flows for 3 days straight is happening for Bitcoin. On the other side, Ethereum ETFs, Grayscale being their downfall. The first ever spot Ethereum ETFs, you know, in essentially US, 9 products from 8 issuers started trading on Tuesday, July 23rd, following their approval from the SEC. And ETFs, their first week. In the first week of trading, most of the newly launched Ethereum ETFs saw positive inflows, except for Grayscale, which experienced $1.51 billion in net outflows ETH essentially outflows have resulted in an overall weekly outflow of $341.8 million. BlackRock's ETH led the pack in terms of inflows. As usual, history will repeat itself. When Grayscale was being the downfall for Bitcoin ETFs right at the beginning, BlackRock somehow was also the same person leading the inflows, and Grayscale was the one leading the outflows. History repeats itself. Grayscale leading the outflows, BlackRock leading the inflows. Now you might be thinking, as I said yesterday, well, why would Grayscale do this? This is bad for Grayscale. No, not really. It goes back to the factor of manipulation and corruption. BlackRock owns shares in Grayscale. Grayscale owns shares in BlackRock. And the same thing goes for Goldman Sachs and Vanguard and JP Morgan and everybody. They're all in one big circle. And they just manipulate and essentially corrupt the market and corrupt the hell out of it because they can. And they can get away with it. Same thing, history is repeating itself again back to back. So BlackRock's ETH ETF leading the pack in terms of inflows, generating $442 million worth of net inflows, followed by Bitwise. Same thing was happening with the Bitcoin ETFs, and Fidelity, same thing. And VanEck, ETH, and Franklin Templeton's ETH saw smaller inflows of $35.4 million and $23.3 million. Also, same thing was happening at that moment in time as well, with VanEck not bringing that much, and Franklin Templeton not bringing that much either, regarding Bitcoin ETFs. 21 shares, and 21 shares, ETH also received an inflow of 7.5. Same thing back there as well. 21 shares wasn't bringing too much either for Bitcoin ETFs. It's just the same thing. History is repeating itself for Ethereum. Only on launch day and saw zero inflows on the following 3-day tradings. Pretty much the same thing. Grayscale's 2 Ethereum ETFs explained. Major crypto asset manager Grayscale has introduced 2 spot Ethereum funds to the market this past week, trading under the tickers ETH and ETH. Basically, ETH by itself. The Grayscale Ethereum Trust, which is ETH, was initially launched in 2017 as a private placement, meaning it was only available to select investors and institutions in the US since 2019. The shares of the Ethereum Trust have been publicly traded on OTCs under the ticker counter, basically, under the ticker ETH, OTCs, under the counter, basically. Now, trading of ETH came with a 6-month holding period. If you wanted to trade on Ethereum, basically before the Ethereum ETFs, if you wanted to trade with essentially Ethereum and you wanted to do it as a corporation, who would you go to? Grayscale. And what did Grayscale offer? A 6-month hold. You know what Grayscale offered to the Bitcoin corporation, to the corporations that wanted to buy Bitcoin? Yeah, Grayscale also offered them a 6-month hold. And you know what happened when Grayscale's ETF opened up? Well, the locks came off. And instead of everybody rushing towards Grayscale's essentially Bitcoin ETF, they rushed right out of Grayscale. Why? Because Grayscale was offering a 2.5% fee when everybody else was offering a 0.25% fee. Same thing here. They were offering a 6-month hold on Ethereum. However, since the ETH was converted to a spot Ethereum ETF last week, investors gained the ability to sell their holdings more freely, which means the locks came off. The 2.5% management fee for ETH, which was relatively quite high compared to the fees of the 0.25% fee or less from other ETF issuers. BlackRock is offering a 0.25% fee as usual, and the people that were rushing out, some of them rushed towards BlackRock. Same thing happened with Bitcoin ETFs. I mean, you can't write this stuff. I mean, it's just incredible. Has driven investors to switch to competing products with lower fees, spurring the outflows from Grayscale's fund because the locks came off and are too ridiculously high on fees. It's almost like they manipulated and corrupted it by purposely putting a 2.5% fee when the locks came off. Again, is very much similar to what happened with Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, which is very much similar what happened to Bitcoin's trust from Grayscale. Something that I said yesterday. I said this yesterday, that Grayscale is the manipulator of Ethereum ETFs. I said this yesterday. And this is the news coming out today, repeating my words from yesterday. Going to the fact that everything that I say pretty much comes true. Not pretty much, almost. No, not even almost. Always. Likely in expectation of this dynamic, Grayscale launched another ETF product this week. The Ethereum Mini Trust are offering it with a lower fee of 0.15% fee. So first they manipulated it, now they're offering the new Ethereum Mini Trust, they're calling it. They have the normal Ethereum ETF and the Ethereum Trust. Now they have the Mini Ethereum Trust. They also have a Mini Bitcoin Trust that was just approved right now with a 0.15% fee. Something they could have offered right at the beginning. If they wanted to offer a 0.15% fee, they could have offered that from the beginning, but they didn't. Grayscale's Mini Trust saw inflows of every trading day this past week for the total of $164 million. Grayscale's ETH, which held around $10 billion in assets, 2.9 million ETH. They had a very big portfolio of Ethereum locked before its conversion to an ETF, allocated 9.2 billion to its ETH ETF product and just saw over $1 billion, essentially dollars, to its ETH fund. The ETH outflows, coupled with a more than 6% drop in the price of Ethereum, Grayscale, manipulator. The ETH outflows, coupled with a more than 6% drop in the price of Ethereum since the ETFs launched, honestly, have reduced Grayscale's Ethereum Trust assets under management to approximately $7.46 billion. Remember, they had essentially $10 billion. Grayscale had $10 billion in assets under management of Ethereum. It's the same way they had a huge amount of Bitcoin, the only one that had a huge amount of Bitcoin before the ETFs. They had 10 billion, locks came off, 7.46 billion is what they got left. As reported on its fund page. I said this yesterday as a perspective. News with factual data from Foresight comes out today. Repeats my perspective that I gave out yesterday. If you're new to this channel, you're going to get used to me being right. Now, so if you're wondering why the Ethereum situation, why the ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, corporations coming, this is great news for Ethereum. Why is Ethereum not moving? Yeah, because Grayscale repeated history again. And if you were part of this CMF live show, you could have known about this, not just yesterday. I said the things that I said yesterday about, essentially, when the Ethereum ETF was approved is what I said this. When the Ethereum ETFs were approved is when I said this, and then I repeated what I said back then, yesterday, and today this news comes out backing what I said when the Ethereum ETFs were approved, backing what I said yesterday with data from Foresight. So if you were part of the CMF live show, you could have essentially known about this right at the beginning of why Ethereum is not moving. But if you just tune in, if you just found this live show, you've been watching it for a few days, tune into it every single night. You'll be updated on things before they happen or before the data comes out. We've also come to the endings of tonight's live show as well. But before we go through it, let's see where we are at. Leaving that, Miles, many people think that XRP will go to $100. What's your thoughts about that? Many people think that XRP, before we end the live show, let's go inside the Q&As. Let's answer some Q&As before we end the live show. So let's answer everyone's Q&As. So, question from Daniel. Miles, many people think that XRP will go to $100. What's your thoughts about that? Can XRP go to $100? The simple answer is yes. The long answer is not long. A medium answer is not overnight, but over time. Why can XRP go to $100? Well, there's many possible reasons. Look, one being the Bank of International Settlements. There's a PDF document on the Bank of International Settlements that is public information. And the title of that PDF document is essentially cross-border payments. Bank of International Settlements, essentially banks or bank of 63 centralized banks, G20 countries, G7 countries, all on the Bank of International Settlements. Now they have a PDF document essentially titled Cross-Border Payments. On that PDF document, there are many companies that are involved in cross-border payments in this whole digital world we're going into. And one of those companies mentioned is Ripple. There's no other company that's a blockchain company on that list. Only Ripple is mentioned. It says Swift and then it says Ripple. And then some people might say, well, that's Ripple. It's got nothing to do with XRP. Two different things. Not really. If you're still a person in 2024, right now, basically in the month of July, still thinking that Ripple and XRP are two different things, leave the crypto space. It's a very simple thing. Honestly, in 2024, in the month of July, if you believe that Ripple and XRP are two different things, leave the crypto space. You should not be anywhere near any sort of blockchain spaces because you're an absolute goldfish. Because even Ripple themselves have stated many times publicly that Ripple is XRP and XRP is Ripple. Not only that, but Ripple's latest reports on their own website states how exactly Ripple Payments is utilizing XRP, step by step on Ripple's own website. So for all the morons out there, essentially, inside the crypto space, who still in the month of July in 2024 believe that Ripple is separate and XRP is separate and they're two different things, and if it says Ripple doesn't mean it's XRP, yes, it does, because there's your point of view, which has no factual information, no backing whatsoever, no PDF documentations behind it or any sort of data. And then there's Ripple's point of view, the people that designed it, the people that run the show. On their own website states how they're going to be utilizing step by step. It's the latest reports by Monica Long. So for essentially anyone out there that believes in for a second, for anybody out there that thinks to themselves that it's not possible for XRP to reach $100, it is. Bank of International Settlements. There are so many market spaces out there that Ripple has a hand in. Okay, they're preparing themselves for a massive launch. Let me just put it into perspective, in a very simple perspective. The world is shifting into a digital era. We'll go step by step. The world is shifting into a digital era, correct? The answer is yes. The world is shifting into a digital era. We are going into CBDCs. Yes. Okay, 24,000 crypto projects. It's the simplest way to put it. 24,000 crypto plus projects. We have, so many crypto projects essentially in AI, so many crypto projects, competition in gaming, data, Web3, whatever you think of it, any category, D-pins, whatever new categories are coming out, meme section, and so on. There's one crypto project that's basically into CBDCs, one crypto project that has a CBDC platform, one project that has licensings in the financial sector to be working with banks, one project listed on the Bank of International Settlements PDF document titled Cross-Border Payments, one project that has essentially CBDC awards to its name. Ripple has won 3 CBDC awards so far. They have a CBDC platform, CBDC awards, licensings, works with the Bank of International Settlements alongside the International Monetary Fund, titled on the PDF document Cross-Border Payments. 24,000 crypto projects, and only one is doing these things, essentially movements inside the CBDC space. And only Ripple was the one that was working alongside banks, developing themselves, going back to the banks saying, is this good? No, we should go back to the drawing boards. And for people out there that think, oh, Ripple has no future. Sure, Ripple has no future. But again, 24,000 crypto projects, and only one is in CBDCs, has a CBDC platform, has got CBDC awards to its title, works alongside the Bank of International Settlements on a PDF document. Sure, it has no future. I mean, this is why I say, if you still believe till this, because there are people out there that will mock Ripple or mock XRP, and they think they're intelligent. Let me just make this clear. If you mock XRP's technology, or if you mock Ripple's capabilities, you're not intelligent. You're a moron. Simple. Honestly. You're not intelligent if you mock Ripple. You're not intelligent if you mock XRP. You're not intelligent if you mock anybody that buys XRP. You're a moron. Because if you can't comprehend 24,000 crypto projects and only one is in CBDCs working alongside banks, and the whole world is shifting towards CBDCs. According to the Bank of International Settlements, 98% of countries, of centralized banks are in CBDCs. 98% of centralized banks are in CBDCs. 24,000 crypto projects, One has a CBDC platform. One actually has implemented their CBDC within a jurisdiction. One of them only has a CBDC, has multiple CBDC awards. One of them is only working on the Bank of International Settlements on that PDF document that's titled Cross-Border Payments. That's factual information. It's not opinions. And I always say, everybody is entitled to an opinion, but opinions are not correct. And facts are facts. So if you mock Ripple, if you mock XRP, if you mock anybody buying XRP, you're not intelligent. You're an idiot. Because you can't comprehend all of that factual information. So on the basis of, can it reach $100? Yes. Overnight? No. Over time? Yes. And we have come to the endings of tonight's live show as well. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. It's called the CMF Live Show. It stands for Crypto Mouse Family. I've been doing this live show every single night, pretty much for over a year and a half. We're on X Live, YouTube Live every single night at this exact same time you're watching me, pretty much. This live show starts around 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. Sometimes it starts around 11:30 p.m. UK time, but it's every single night. It's called CMF Live Show. I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, everything that you should be fully aware of going inside of a digital world. And on tonight's live show, we covered news. We covered news around Ethereum ETF situation and the manipulation and corruption that's coming from Grayscale. Something I was repeating yesterday that happened on the news today. Also, we went through the BRICS nations, on the possibility of dominating the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. We talked about the Wall Street, essentially Wall Street launching a Bitcoin financing and leading business and putting $2 billion to show confidence into it. We talked about US Senator Luminous offering $1 million to essentially to purchase 1 million Bitcoins over 5 years, is what she announced in the Bitcoin conference. We talked about essentially on today's live show, we talked about Ripple versus SEC case and how far they've gotten from multiple perspectives on that matter. We talked about the US House Representatives calling out for US SEC Chairman Gary Gensler to be fired on the exact same day that Trump made the announcement of on day one he will get rid of Gary Gensler. We went through the perspectives of Kamala Harris, which she shares the exact same brain cells as a goldfish regarding Kamala Harris and her administration. And we also talked about Trump's point of view on the Bitcoin conference, which he made some incredible points of what he will do if he's elected as the President of the United States for the crypto community. All of it was positive on that matter. So if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. This is the CMF live show. You can tune into this live show to know about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and we do live Q&As as well, which means you can get involved in the comment section. And we have a Telegram group for this live show as well. Anybody's more than welcome to join the Telegram group of this live show, and it's completely free, by the way. Everything that I do is completely free source. Also, I've never made this announcement before, and I'll make it now, which is the CMF for this CMF live show right now. We're looking for sponsors for the CMF live show. So if you are a crypto project out there or a crypto company right now watching this live show, if you're a crypto startup business, crypto company, crypto related, blockchain related, or not even blockchain related, AI related, and you want to showcase your company out there, you can use this platform and sponsor this live show if you want. Now, we are in conversation with a few companies out there, but if you want to get involved and sponsor this live show as well and showcase your product, go for it. But be a legitimate product, please. But yeah, this is a platform to reach many crypto enthusiasts, and right now we are in conversation with a few sponsors. But if you also want to get yourself sponsored on this live show, go for it. Direct message me on X, or email me if you want to. The link on my profile on X is there for my email as well. So if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. And I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. Now, before we go, there we go. Let's just see where we were inside the comment section. Yeah, don't know. Now you know, kiddo. They are all in together, pretty much. And they believe they believe by 2025. I'm very late today, but I'll surely go back and watch from the start. Hello, everyone. Juno, it's good to see you. How you doing? And there are 600 plus of the CMF members, and they back up what Miles has been saying for over a year now. Facts. Thank you, JP, for that. Thank you, Miles and CMF. You are truly the best man out there. Good night, Mike. See you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. Orphan, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. It was a great live tonight, Miles. Let's go. Good night to all. Troy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thanks for the great live. Let's go freedom forever. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and family. Brilliant live. Facts. Have a good one. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Ian, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Another great show tonight, Miles. Let's go. Scott, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles. Daniel, good night, brother. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, Daniel. Thanks, Miles, and good night all. Lena, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. Thanks, Miles. Let's go. Stormy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual.